Hello everyone, and this is Jebro with an Elementalist build. This is pretty much the meta build for PvP really at the moment, but I have changed it for leagues by just really adding the Warhorn, to be honest, and that's why. So, what are the features of this build? What's the build about in the first place? So generally speaking, is very supporty. I've got a little bit of decap ability, not much, and that's not really the focus of the build at all. It's more to support my team, depending on whether or not we are going against bursty builds, so that's high damage power builds, or going against condition builds. And the reason I've got Warhorn is because I can get a little bit of regeneration here and there as well. But I can tell you can have options with this. You can use different weapon sets. So you can use Dagger Warhorn, you can use Dagger Focus, and you can use Staff. No one is using Warhorn in meta. No one is using really Warhorn at all, other than if you're seeing it being used in queues just randomly. I like the weapon, and it's just doing me a lot of favours in different situations. And I'll give you the reason why I'm using it in a moment. There are other benefits to other weapon sets, of course, like Focus gives you more condition removal through the Earth trait on the number 4 skill, of course, and you get some vulnerability as well. But you know, I just like this. Also, you've got Swirling Winds, things like that. Staff is very good to use in terms of off-point fighting, so if you can't get on the node and you need to support from afar, especially if you're being focused yourself, and you need to get out of there, then you know that's very useful as well. And Staff is very good on the Battle of Kylo map, of course, as well, because you can use things like Static Field and your Earth Wall to make sure you can maybe get caps a lot easier, especially on mid, because it's a very narrow pathway to get up to there, of course. But we're going to talk about this build, and I'm liking it. It's fun. I've actually played this quite a lot. I'm playing this as much as I'm playing NG at the moment, so it's pretty good. Also, I like the look of my character, which always helps, but hey ho. It's the lunatic armor, because people always ask. So, of course, the Tempest is using overloads as well. It's got shouts now as well, so we've got loads of new abilities. It's kind of similar to the Dagger Elementalist build before, but you're not really killing many things. 1v1 fights, you can kill stuff if you're able sometimes, but you can hold 1v1s until you get +1s quite easily. Obviously against druids, things like that, it's pretty tough. Revenants as well, sometimes you have a few issues. As long as you can clear conditions and you're against a condition revenant, you know, then you don't seem to have too many problems. But that's in general. I'm not talking about high tier play, I'm talking about league play, where I play. I'm not really often talking about Pro League and top tier, because that's a very small percentage, and those builds are very good to learn and know, and you should know them if you can. But then also, you know, adjusting to your own play style is quite important, and you want to have fun as well, which is the main aspect of what we're talking about. And obviously, you know, the pro players aren't going to be watching these. It's going to be you guys. So, what's going on? Why am I using what I'm using? Okay, so I'm going for Dagger, as you can see, obviously Warhorn as well, and Warhorn is part of Heart and Thorns and gives you a lot of support. Actually, I'd say it's a pretty nice weapon set, offhand weapon. I'm also going for Energy Sigil and Renewal, you know, for extra healing as well. This can be replaced by pretty much whatever you want, or whatever you feel is relevant at the time. Energy, you know, just to have extra dodge and whatnot as well. And then, of course, we're going for Celestial, but we're going for Rune of the Soldier as well. So that's a very important thing about this build, because shouts remove conditions from affected allies as well as yourself, and you're very susceptible to conditions in this build. So, if you're going against a condition team, you might have some issues, but there's some things in this build to help you out, which is why it's running the meta as well, the traits wise and whatnot. So, let's go over to the build, hey? Oh no, actually what we'll do first is we'll quickly discuss the dagger the offhand Warhorn skills, because they're pretty good. So, one problem with Ellie sometimes is that you've not got much swiftness, especially if you're solo queuing, right? So this 4th skill here, I mean, obviously overload, as soon as you start the channel here for air, so if you've got Tempest, obviously in the bottom line here, you will get these overloads. So you select, go over towards the attunement, and then your second selection after a cooldown is available. So if you channel this, you're able to get swiftness and protection, of course. Pretty nice, hey? Pretty nice. That's obviously, you know, traded as well, but we'll have a look at that in a moment. So we also get swiftness from the Cyclone. Now this is I'm going to show you these abilities because it might be worth it. Let's have a look here. But it's a little pull. Little tiny bit of CC as well. So that's not too bad, okay? you're not going to pull them off node far, obviously, and it is unblockable, so it's a good interrupt, so it's not too bad. So this lightning orb at first doesn't look too appealing, you know, it looks like it just that gives you, you know, one stack of vulnerability, but if you're right in front of them as well, so how many you get? 5, 6, 7, there you go. Tons of vulnerability there, as well as a tiny bit of damage, not too much, but it is not too bad. So every quarter of a second as well, you know, you get that vulnerability. So it doesn't look too much, but you know, this is for speed and vulnerability stacking. Let's have a look at fire. So give stacks of might to yourself, then spread boons you have to allies. So this is just the might, of course, and fury if you have that as well. But you know, I mean, I can't really show you here. Kind of just feels like it should just be give might to yourself and allies, or you know, potentially fury as well. That could be a little bit better, probably, in my opinion. But you know, hey ho, doesn't really matter the way it's explained. It's same in its how it's working anyway. Then wildfire, of course, release a fiery torrent that burns enemies. So you've got a fire field there. So you've got 2 fire fields, which are going to be very, very good for your build, of course, to stack might and do some extra damage, actually putting a lot more damage on the point. Which is, you know, I feel like the damage in this build isn't too massive, so when you can put down fields which give might to yourself and your allies, that's pretty damn good, obviously. Because if we put that fire field, we've got a couple of blasts as well. We do have shouts here as well. Obviously, you know, they have got combo finisher blasts. Yeah, okay, this is pretty good. So, you know, you can kind of queue this up, but you wouldn't use these in respect to getting more damage. You'd really use them for you trying to make sure you don't get too many conditions on you. So here you go. Here's the fire field here. Obviously in water, we've got a blast there. And in earth, we've also got a blast there as well. So not too bad, you know, you can stack up a little bit of damage there and might, and you can see even just through that auto attack as well, I did a nice little amount of damage. But, you know, this build isn't about that, but it's always good to stack that damage if you possibly can. So, and also, you know, that might be good to have Doom rather than Sigil of Renewal. You're doing a lot of healing anyway, so you might be able to just put Doom in there. Just to, you got Celestial, you know, Doom's always good to make sure they're not going to regen too quickly as well. So, let's go through the rest of this. Earth, as we are in that now as well. Magnetic Aura and Protection over on Sand Squall. Also gain vigor and regeneration. Oh yeah. But the reason why this is good as well is because Dragon Hunters are being played a lot in PvP at the moment. And Magnetic Aura reflects projectiles. And that's pretty damn good for 5 seconds as well, which is another reason why, of course, we're going for Aftershock. You know, not too bad of a cooldown either. And it can do the cripple immobilize as well. But, pardon me, that's a really good ability to have. 20-second cooldown isn't too bad as well. And then we've got Summon a Dust Storm that inflicts conditions. So bleeding stacks, of course, as well as blindness. This is Celestial build as well, so that bleeding damage isn't too bad. So yeah, all is happy and joyful in the world. Now this Sand Squall is really good because it gives you protection as well, which is protection obviously in this. Especially if you've got Dragon Hunters, bursty builds as well, you know, if you've got Power Revenants, if people are still playing those as well, which is still happening, they're really, really useful, especially we've got Thieves that are being played as well, like very bursty builds. So, you know, protection is always very useful, and also it is that combo finisher blast, which is what I showed you earlier, and the overload is very, very, very strong indeed. You get the magnetic aura, you get protection, you also get initial stability, so when you start queuing that. So let's have a look and see how much protection I'm actually getting in this build. So you can see it's stacking, keeps stacking until the channel's over, and then you get 4 seconds afterwards. Not 4 seconds afterwards, sorry. You get to about 20 seconds afterwards. I was on the wrong one there. But you can see how much protection you actually get. Now, unless that's getting ripped off you, you know, you're going to have that for quite a while, even if you're in like a 1v1 versus something you need to last longer. This overload is really useful. It's come off cooldown already, so if I'm stuck in Earth, I can just have permanent protection, pretty much. It's pretty crazy, right? Pretty bloody crazy. So, let's go into, what did I not show you? Water, that's right, this is where it's quite good as well. So regen is quite important to get, because I'll show you that in the traits in a moment as well. But what else is good is Send out a tidal wave that regenerates and heals allies, then knocks them back. Yes, it's not unblockable, unfortunately. That would be cooler. But this is a water field as well, so not only can I knock it, use it. Sorry, that's the fifth skill I'm talking about. Just ignore me for a second. I got a little bit too happy there. That's actually the fifth skill, so let me show you here. This sends out this water field, and you can actually blast that. The reason I was switching there is because I was trying to switch over to get the blast, but I failed. We'll wait until the cooldown comes back up, and we'll show you that combo again. Inevitably, I was going to get one of these things wrong, unfortunately, because there's so many bloody abilities. This is the thing that's very important you get to know about your builds when you're playing them, all the combinations you can do as well. So, hello, skull person. We'll go back into water now very quickly as well. So here you go, look. It doesn't actually say it's a water field. That's interesting. Blast out a watery orb that heals allies as it travels. That's interesting. Let's just have a look here. It is definitely a water field, but it doesn't actually say it on the tooltip. Okay, either that or I'm being stupidly blind. But it is a water field, and that's really, really good for AoE healing. I don't think I've got that wrong. I'm pretty sure that's correct. So, what does the water overload give you? Gives you regen, obviously swiftness and protection you can see is through the traits, Frost Aura there as well, and then you can obviously get a nice amount of healing through this. I can't really show you obviously because I'm going against, of course, a golem, but hey ho. Now the one thing that is very important as well to realise through these overloads is they break stun. So let's have a look at a fire, sorry. Oh look, it breaks stun. Oh look, it breaks stun. Oh look, it breaks stun. Very good indeed. There's actually a combo finisher blast as well on that overload on the earth line, which I didn't actually let you know about or talk about. So overloads are very, very powerful and strong, which is why sometimes people do opt to go for Harmonious Conduit over in the Tempest line, because you can gain stability when you begin an overload. And then you get an increase of damage. It's more for the stability, of course, as well, really, to be honest, because you know you can make sure you're going to be able to get that overload off and get the benefits from it as well. Especially if it's going to be a stun break and the stability, it's pretty nice. Especially if you're being constantly CC'd. So let's go through the build. There are possible differences and things you can change up here, to be honest, as well, depending on what you're using. So we're going for water, earth, and also tempest here. So let's go for it. Every single tiny thing. Soothing Mist, so you and your nearby allies regenerate health while you're attuned to water. Obviously, you know, that's kind of self-explanatory. Gain regeneration and Frost Aura when critically hit. That's very useful. You don't really want to go for that. You don't want the extra damage. Dodge rolling removes burning and shield from you and all nearby allies. That couldn't be too bad, but still like Frost Aura, you know, because of that negative 10% incoming damage. Healing Ripple, heal nearby allies when attuning to water. That's always good because it's a supporty build. Remove a condition from you or your allies when attuning to water. This is very important indeed because the conditions are a beast at the moment. We are in a condition meta in really the top tier, and a lot of people are playing conditions anyway because we normally follow the meta where we're going, unless you're not really following the meta and you're playing your own stuff, which again is fine. But you know, you can remove a condition when you go towards water, and we're removing them from our shouts as well. You could go for cantrips, grant you regeneration and vigor. If you're using a lot of cantrips, we're just using a lightning flash at the moment. And then, of course, you've got Aquamancer's training. Again, not really that useful in this build. So let's go over towards aquatic benevolence. Healing done on allies is increased. Obvious one there. And this is where you can really change things up. So it's really between these two. And the reason I say that is because cleansing water, you can see there, remove a condition when granting regeneration to yourself or an ally. Now that happens a lot through this build, and is the reason why another reason why I've gone to Warhorn. But otherwise, you can go for powerful aura. So when you apply an aura to yourself, you grant the aura to all nearby allies as well. Why is that good, by the way? Oh yes, I'll tell you why that's good. Because of Dragon Hunters. Dragon Hunters are a good reason. Also because auras are going to heal as well. And they're also going to give you some, fair effects on your allies. So let's have a look. I can get Aftershock here, so I've got Magnetic Aura, but that doesn't go just to me, that goes to my allies as well. Then we've got, of course, Fire Shield. If people hit us, we gain Might. And obviously, if we use Rebound, we can get one of these different effects depending on which achievement we're in. So we can get the Fire Shield, the Frost Aura, the Shocking Aura, or Magnetic Aura. And 3 out of 4 of these are good, and they're all good in their own way because you can stack Might through Fire anyway. But Magnetic Aura is very strong against Dragon Hunters, and Dragon Hunters are playing a lot at the moment, and people can kill themselves because they don't know what Magnetic Aura actually is. Guild Wars 2 is a very intricate PvP game, and a lot of people don't actually know what a lot of the abilities do, so use it to your advantage and make sure that you have some kind of reflect against these guys. Obviously you can get that from other sources, but this is another reason why I have gone for Sand Squall, because you can gain Magnetic Aura for 5 seconds. So we're getting Magnetic Aura from here, here, and also from here as well, and from the Elite when we're in Earth. So that's really good. We're really good against Dragon Hunters already. Okay, the traps are going to hurt us a lot and they're painful. But, you know, that's the thing. So that's if you go for Powerful Aura. I really change up this trait depending on what I'm going against. So if I'm against 2 Condi Revenants or loads of Necros or anything I know that is going to be condition based, I'll normally go for Cleansing Water, so you remove condition when granting regeneration to yourself or an ally. So you're able to grant regeneration, of course, through your Force skill on the Warhorn and elsewhere in, of course, this build. So that's pretty good, right? No? Okay. I think it is. But, so, you know, that's extra conditions removed. Very, very important indeed. Let's just have a look here as we go into the Elite as well. We do get Frost Aura from that. Let's remove water. And we get regeneration as well. So we're removing some conditions to ourselves, if anything, you know, through some of these abilities. And we're going to be able to do that quite a lot. So that increases our personal survivability. But like I said, if I was going against something like a Dragon Hunter and we're in team fights, then I might go more for Powerful Auras. Also, they do some useful stuff in this build as well. So let's go over towards Earth, and sorry, when you apply an aura to yourself, grant that aura to all nearby allies. That is actually everyone, and radius of 600. I'm not sure if I said that. So, there's not really anything else there. Earth. Let's talk about Earth. Gain toughness while tuned to Earth. Obviously, that's an obvious one. Grant protection when applying an aura to yourself or an ally. Now, this is why, if I was going for the middle one permanently, I would have called this Auramancer, but I'm not going to call it that because I change it from time to time. And this is what players do as well in the top tier. If they need to, they will change it. They're more solidified because the meta's more solid up there and they know they're going Condi, so most guys are going for this, but they do go for Powerful Aura as well. But this really empowers your auras. So if you're running with Powerful Aura, of course, I'm in combat at the moment, so I can't change it. I've not got any allies anyway. So my auras are all going to be copied to everyone else. So if I copy, so let's go into Earth and we get a Magnetic Aura and I get it for myself, we give it to someone else as well. So this is all very useful. So anything self-aura wise is going to be given it to our allies, so which is very, very important, especially for survivability. Protection is very, very nice as well. And that's an aura. It's not any aura, okay? So, you know, you're giving off a lot of auras. So potentially, this might actually be useful as well, just for Dragon Hunters as well. But you really use this and test it yourself, see how it works for you. Earth and Blasts damage foes and cripple them for free there. Geomancer's training, you recover more quickly from crippling. Mobilizing and chilling there reduces recharge on all Earth weapon skills, so you can get some more protection. Also Magnetic Aura backup, and then we've got Geomancer's defense, so you take less damage from foes within close range. And then this is another one, you know, this is why I like this combination, because you can change these little traits here and there to really change your effectability in teams and also against composition. So, you know, you press B when you're playing and you think, okay, I'm going against more Condi, so what shall I use? Maybe I'll use Diamond Skin, because conditions cannot be applied to me when I'm above the health threshold of 90%. So they're going to need some power damage on there, or be able to get me down quite low before conditions actually get applied to me. So that's very, very useful. But Stoneheart as well, you cannot be critically hit while attuned to Earth. And there's a lot of people playing very bursty builds, like I say, in Dragon Hunter. There's Feasts starting to come out of the woodwork as well. I've also seen, you know, still people playing Revenant power builds. I've seen some fresh air elementalists. I've still seen, obviously, there's power engineers as well with the Marauder amulet, going for scrapper. So, it's really up to you whether or not you go for one of those two, depending on the comp that you're going up against. So make sure you always press B when you're in the game, and you're being queued and you're in the map. Check what your comp is. Check what the comp of the opposition is, because you want to change these up, in my opinion, just for your own personal play as well. Then we've got Tempest, and Tempest is very, very awesome. So singularity there. Attain elemental singularity by remaining in an attunement for a period of time. Upon attaining singularity, you may overload the attunement to your vicinity. So you're able to get that extra overload. Oh, overload's damn nice. Let's have a look here as well, over towards this first straight line. So unstable conduits, overloading an attunement grants an aura based on the element you're attuned to. So obviously, the synergy of this build and auras, powerful auras, this synergizes quite well. So really, you want to be able to, I'm trying to get out of combat here while I'm running around. Again, editing isn't a thing I can do too much, so I'm just doing this while I run around here as well. But it's very good to have, the synergy of these auras. These auras are really, really powerful and very useful for yourself and potentially your allies if you do get to share them as well. Speedy conduits that gain swiftness when overloading an attunement as well, of course. So, obviously speed is a good thing to have if you're not able to get that swiftness, which, may mean you don't want to go for the Warhorn, which again is fine. I'm using the Warhorn just because I'm having fun with it at the moment. Focus is focus or staff really in the main meta at the moment, but I feel like Warhorn has helped me in certain situations, when you're not going up against top players. They're still very good players, and I'm able to even get a cheeky decap here or there. I've got some control as well, because a lot of people don't think about control effects when they're trying to res or go down, take people down, sorry. So, I felt like Warhorn has helped me in different occasions, giving some extra protection for my team. But Invigorating and Torrents, so of auras you apply, also grant regeneration and vigor. What's that, as you say? My good lord, that goes well with powerful aura. So, that again, especially if we're going to be in team fights, might be more beneficial. But, cleansing those conditions is very important as well. So really, you've got to make that decision. Then we're going to go to Hardy Conduit. So gain protection while overloading an attunement. Protection has increased effectiveness. You can see the synergy, boys! Okay. Elemental Bastion. So auras you apply heal allies. Apply a frost aura to yourself and nearby allies when struck below the health threshold. So you are 75%, and then if they're about to burst you again, obviously you've got that frost aura, which is the negative 10% of incoming damage, of course, and that's for you and your allies. And if you're giving allies your auras as well, there's a lot of healing. So really, when you're going for that powerful aura, it really helps you and your allies to really, sustain the fight. So more often than not at the moment in the PvP leagues, when I'm queuing in ranked, I'm using this. If I know there's heavy conditions on the other team, I'll go for Cleansing Water. And especially if I know that I'm going to be more spread around the map rather than in massive team fights, especially if there's, a lot of support on our team. Obviously by then I might change my own class as well, to be honest. So what we'll also do is quickly go through some of the newer utilities that we have. So, wash the pain away. So you heal yourself and allies that are in range. You can see the amount of healing that can potentially be brought up. That can heal really light classes, pretty much almost to full HP. And you can get a considerable amount of burst healing from this. So it's very, very useful. Can be easily interrupted. They know when you're casting this because, it's pretty obvious. We've got Lightning Flash, of course, this isn't new, but this is really your escape utility as well. It's very, very important to have some kind of teleport, because sometimes you can get put into a really awkward position. Obviously, you've got stun breaks here as well, but this teleport is getting you out of that area. So I feel like running full shouts isn't going to be very useful for you. This is the utilities that played in meta as well. Sometimes these change, but there is a reason why people are playing this, and this build is mainly meta. but I've just added the Warhorn here as well. So please don't accredit me to the actual whole build, but it's more of, you know, this is what the community came up with, and I'm just explaining it because I've not really seen any build videos either. Then we've got Feel the Burn, of course, you know, low 20-second cooldown, which is another reason why to give that, as well as giving you a bit of burning there, and also the Fire Shield to gain might. That is, of course, to 5 allies. And then we've got Aftershocks, a call upon the earth to cripple and immobilize foes in the area around you. Allies in the blast gain a magnetic aura. Again, we talked about that earlier, and it gives you that blast as well. And then finally, we have Rebound, which I talked about earlier as well. Depending on which achievement you are in, you will be able to gain an aura also based upon that, as well as healing and some increased damage as well. And good times. Sorry, allies who would take lethal damage while this is active ignore the death blow and are healed instead. If this expires naturally, gain an aura based. It's not increased damage. Sorry, don't know why I thought that. There's so many different abilities. But yeah, basically, you know, you can change these different things up. You know, based on what the other team is actually running, you need to do that. You need to make sure you're doing that. Always know your build. These sigils, of course, are really up to you as well. You know, Doom might be a very good idea, as well as something around bleeding, of course. Also, you know, geomancy or whatever. But otherwise, you know, the standard kind of sigils that you have. I've just gone for maximum healing support, really, and sort of self-survival. But other than that, really, that's pretty much the build. I'm enjoying playing this actually at the moment because I like to play very supporty healy specs as well as playing on my engineer and going full ham. To mention pun there while something falls over on my desk. But otherwise, please mention, put down a comment below, like and subscribe if you would like to. If you don't have Heart of Thorns as well, you can purchase that below in a link. But if you're going to do anything, just say hello in the comments below. Or just chuck a like if you like this video and you've been playing this build. Or you've got any suggestions, or you think Warhorn is really lame and you don't want to use it, then that's also fine. It's just what I'm using to have a little bit of fun at the moment. So, I'll see you very soon. Take it easy, guys, and see you in the next video.